I had one of the worst allergy seasons in recent memory this year. We were just talking about our allergies.
Yeah, I feel like it's actually gotten better here in the last couple of weeks.
Just in the last few weeks, I think you're right. Even people who normally don't suffer with allergies found themselves with itchy eyes and runny noses.
Well, thankfully, that's only a couple of months out of the year. But for one Valley man, he had year-round allergy symptoms, particularly the running nose, all the time.
He was shocked to find out after years of suffering, his runny nose was really a leaky brain. Joe Nagy first noticed it when he sat up to get out of bed.
Brooop, this clear liquid dribbled out of my nose, just like tears out of your eyes. I go, what is this?
A runny nose that got worse.
Once or twice a week, and then pretty soon it was all the time.
He started taking allergy medicine, but it only worked sometimes.
I got to the point where I had tissues all the time. I had my pockets full of tissues, and I always said, well, I'll fold it up.
He still remembers the embarrassing moments when he couldn't get to the tissues in time, like when he was picking up blueprints one time for his model airplanes.
He's putting a cover sheet on his blueprints, and I reached for my coffee over on them, and I goes like this, and bloop, it was about a teaspoonful splashed all over the top sheet. He goes, Joe, you know, this is liquid from my nose. Oh, I said, these damn allergies. I was embarrassed as hell.
Fed up, Joe went to a specialist to test the fluid dripping out of his nose, and he found out it wasn't really a runny nose. It was leaking brain fluid.
I was scared to death, if you want to know the truth.
The membrane surrounding Joe's brain had a hole in it, and his brain fluid was leaking out, causing it to drip from his nose.
You don't really think about it, but our brains are really just above our noses all the time.
Barrow Neurological Institute neurosurgeon Peter Nagy.
This is one of the more common conditions to be missed for a long time because so many people have runny noses.
Joe was ready to have brain surgery to fix the leak when he got a near-deadly case of meningitis. That brain fluid had become infected.
And as soon as the infection is under control, we go up and repair the leak.
You might wonder how Joe could have brain fluid leaking out of his nose for a year and a half. Wouldn't his brain dry out? The human body produces about this much brain fluid each day. It's about 12 ounces. Joe's body was working overtime, producing enough fluid to keep his brain from drying out.
These leaks can be very, very tiny, a little bit like a puncture on a bicycle tire that sometimes you have trouble even finding where it is.
Dr. Nagy eventually found the leak.
But if you look right here, you just see a little tiny hole. You see a little bit of just looks like running water.
Dr. Nagy showed us how this problem is fixed with surgery.
And nowadays we do quite a bit of surgery on the brain and at the base of the brain through the nose. We never have to cut up into the brain, and we're getting a needle up into that space to check it out, and then to put a little bit of glue. And then this is just a bit of cartilage from the nose that we can get to repair over it, and then the body will seal it up.
Douglas fir. Roughly 100.
Joe wasn't convinced it would work. After all, he'd been dealing with the problem for so long. But days after the surgery, they removed the gauze from his nose.
I was waiting for the dribble, and this leaking, because I was so used to it every day, having a hanky or a cloth ready, a tissue, nothing. And all of a sudden, and it's never come back.
What has come back is Joe's desire to work on the hobbies he loves, like his model airplanes, and even bigger projects.
Now I'm going to build a sailboat, and the sailboat I'm building is called a Great Pelican.
And after all he's been through, Joe feels pretty confident this boat won't leak. Now, before you call a brain surgeon about your runny nose, Dr. Nagy says it's most likely just a runny nose. Brain fluid is much different than a typical runny nose caused by allergies. The fluid, if it's coming from your brain, is very, very clear. So if you have a chronic runny nose, start with your allergist, and they can perform a simple test to determine if it's a typical runny nose or something more serious. The causes of this type of a brain leak can be numerous. Sometimes it's a past head injury that can lead to the leaking fluid, or it can be caused from complications of a spinal tap or surgery.